baby.
Yep.
And you can look at the Azir or the Varus, depending on whether blue side randomly bans the Varus, which we did see from D+.
Yeah, we'll see what the first pick priority is going to be. I imagine Azir, if it's left up, will definitely be snapped up, but the Taliyah is also another one of these question marks that we are going to have. The Jace going to be taken away from Zeus, and theoretically the Yone ban is against Zeus as well, but of course, banning Yone against Hanwha is a pretty safe one, as, yep, there's PV, and we just need an extra V to come through there as Taliyah setting themselves up for that Azir first pick.
Yeah, trying to get the Azir ban so that Canyon can play Vi potentially. The Jace ban made me feel like they were maybe going to look for a first pick Gwen, but the Rumble's still up, so still a risky pick into a player like Zeus. They will pull the Vi out, take the Azir, and put that in that final spot, so I think we're likely going to see Canyon's Vi here in this first game, but you could go a different direction.
Yeah, I actually think blind pick Vi is kind of a trap. GENG gonna lock in the Annie instead, though, leaving things up in the air, and of course Vi Annie would be a lot of power if they do get their hands on it.
I think Vi Ahri is still really good here, but the Gwen is going to get taken by Zeus. That Jace ban really makes it a little bit easier, but you still have to potentially deal with that Rumble.
Lucian, an interesting consideration here for Viper.
Especially this early in the draft.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Trundle, but that might just be recency bias because Croco made the champion look completely broken in the last game, and we saw even in EWC, MSI, the Trundle getting banned multiple times and finding a lot of success.
If you do lock this here, I still think the Vi is quite strong. A little bit trickier with this one, though, as keeping things very up in the air. I love the Nico rather than the Lucian because it pairs with so many different AD carries in that bottom lane. Yep. And it keeps GENG guessing, and it's an S-tier support pick. You know, the higher you go up the standings, the higher the Nico priority I think is going to go for our LCK teams.
I would agree. I actually think that we have some pretty amazing Nico players as well. I don't know whether Delight necessarily is synonymous with Nico in my mind, but Delight pretty good on champions that you can make big plays on and find all the CC. Is the Wukong going to be the answer here for Canyon? Or not necessarily answer because we don't see a jungle through just yet.
That's the answering pick, though, to the Nico that is shown.
Yep.
And, you know, Rumble works well with this. You don't necessarily have to get it, but Aurora is going to be the new counter pick here that we're seeing rise up so much. And Keen was the OG top Aurora player. I feel like run this narrative into the ground, but just keeps being relevant. Yep. In this meta, Aurora is making a big comeback right now. Let's see what's going to be paired with this Nico. They don't necessarily have to choose now because there's, like I said, so many different pairings they want, or that they could go with. And I like picking the Xin Zhao instead, actually. It's really smart here.
Yep, Xin Zhao going to come in there, the double circle composition to allow you to play pretty up close and personal, but remain safe if anything is too outrangey. Aurora can sometimes do that.
Let's see what the approach is going to be in terms of what the bottom lane bans can be here for the side of Hanwha Life Esports. Maybe banning some range champions to guarantee this Nico is going to have a lot of prio. Could be the name of the game. The Alistar is still obviously quite a prized pick right now, but I don't think you want to play Alistar into Nico, so maybe this time it just goes by the wayside. Braum, Lucian, it's not going to be the option they are looking for.
Yeah, it's an Ezreal, or if it's banned, it's something else. I think Viper certainly wanted to play that if he can get his hands on it. The Galio going to be taken away here as well. Would have fit the comp beautifully, I have to admit. As, of course, Pop Blossom Heroic Entrance is just so much knocking up. It's kind of crazy.
Both of these mid laners are insanely good at Galio.
That is a good point.
Rakan will be taken away from Duro here, so still a lot open in that bottom lane since they went for one support, one Lucian ban there on the AD carry. Is see what this final ban ends up being into this Annie pick. Might just be a Ryze ban because it works well with the Gwen and sides. Feels like the best option because, like I said, the Galio already insane with this comp because it does follow side lanes really well too. Banning the Kai'Sa. It's a bit of a surprise to me. I did not expect the Kai'Sa Nico lane, especially because this comp isn't really a dive comp necessarily.
Yeah, and you also, like, Kai'Sa feels a little bit low range to be fighting into what we're seeing right now. But Viper has been good at it in the past, and it does theoretically fit the archetype of the comp that they're putting together for the moment.
I think the Ryze ban would have been what I'd prefer, but it is going to go over, which is, I think, no shock to anyone. Great wave clear. You have insane 1-3-1 with this draft. We don't even know what the AD carry is, but you know it's insane 1-3-1 with this draft here for Hanwha Life Esports, as the Senna is going to be blind here into the AD carry, and they're going to play Senna Alistar into a Nico draft. Almost feels like they're baiting the Kalista, but Viper won't fall for it.
No, not
He's
this
going
time.
to play the Jhin, which is also very strong in the early 2v2.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Kalista is still as low priority here in the LCK. Because I know over at MSI it became a meme, you know, it just kept losing and losing and losing. But we've always loved Kalista here in the LCK, and so I thought that maybe it'd sort of transcend what the global trend has been, but not to be the case. I do like what Hanwha have put together. I do think that most of the time I get a little bit worried about Jhin, but here in the laning phase, it should have a fair bit of priority. And they just need to make sure that they can win this game before the center becomes impossible to deal with. Maybe also just let Ruler know that the build has changed for center as well. And you need to do that full HP, full mana build at Orcs Coin.
Oftentimes we have the Senna versus the early game comp, right? Where it's like the early game comp needs to get so ahead. They need to win early. They need to be 4,000 gold up when we hit 25 minutes or it's just donezo. But I feel like this isn't quite that type of difference in comp. Obviously the Senna and the scaling and the peel they have for the Senna is insane here on the side of GENG. But the side lane power in this draft for Hanwha Life is just insanely strong. They can play around the Senna. They can force team fights on their terms. So I don't think this is going to be a draft where it's just Ruler gets big and then it's impossible. It is going to be skill-based. It is going to be about rotations on the map here. Macro from Hanwha, I think, is their biggest weapon. Yep,
I think so too. And I also think trying to get through this top lane against Keen's Aurora is going to be a tough one. All right, big cheers from the crowd here at Lol Park. Pretty full house here today as well. In our first day back here, round 3. Unprecedented. Here with our new format. And of course, everything in the first 2 rounds matters. That's the difference here between this year. We've seen a few opinions of both sides of the fence as to whether or not it's a great thing, but I kind of like the change. You know, we've just got something different to have fun with here. As already Peanut taking a little bit of damage as Keen does find him in the jungle, but not too much else is going to happen here.
GENG securing their spot after just 1 win is pretty crazy because they are 18-0.
Yeah, and you have to remember the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that if GENG makes playoffs, they're automatically in because they're MSI champion.
And we're talking about Worlds, of course.
Yes.
Just to be clear, because I didn't say that word, but I think everyone knew what I meant. The other thing about this is, like, when you look at some of the other standings, how far ahead D+ is from the rest of the Rise group gives them an insane advantage. I do see some of the arguments for, like, should it be reset, but I personally like carrying it over because it's a long, year-long season. And so I think what you accomplish in the early part of the year should matter as much. That's the reason why we have a whole season. Because otherwise you just split it in 2. I'm like, oh yeah, then like we could have spring and summer season. I feel like I kind of have heard this one before.
Yeah, and I also just think that change is good, right?
Yeah.
Like making something different. As Duro taking a little bit of damage here. There are 2 Jins. That's too few Jins or 1 too many in my opinion. Because, you know, it's the whole thing. As Viper and Delight doing a pretty good job keeping this wave shoved. That is what we expect from this. As Shape Splitter there from Delight is, that's not the real one.
Not quite.
Yeah, definitely not falling for that.
So they did opt into this matchup. You know, this one is a little bit rough. But on the top side, it's the matchup they opted into that's going to give them a pretty big lead. I love how, you know, in the past we had a few of these matchups for Gwen, like the Rumble, the Ambessa, where it's like you can win, it's really hard. And then with the Aurora, it's like, well, how hard do you win? And Keen's like, oh, I win the hardest, by the way. Look at Xayas' health. Look at the lead he has in farm. Like, you win this one kind of automatically, but if you're Keen, you might get a solo kill. You know, it's the level of advantages you can build up here. So, yes, winning bottom 2v2 for Hanwha Life, but it means way less than this huge lead that Keen has in the top lane.
Yeah.
And they're going to lane swap away from the Aurora.
Yeah, you're going to need to. This is one of the earlier swaps that we've seen. Often it's 3:30 for the earliest, and we saw none of them in game number 1, in the first series, sorry. Of course, with no real changes as far as that is concerned in the patch notes or anything like that. It was just Bro and DK didn't really feel like it. You can see GENG and Hanwha going to be opting in as Keen here with this wave pushing forward, and Viper actually able to grab a fair bit of extra money here, as that cannon is going to be his. And it is just going to be Viper by himself for the moment, as Delight is finally rotating his way up. Spent a little bit of time towards the bottom side, as Canyon is going to find him in the jungle. And the Tangle Barbs does come on down, but you can see Delight in a little bit of trouble, has to flash out of the way as the Warrior Trickster came on through. And so now, This Jhin is a little bit less safe up against Kane.
Yeah, it's going to be okay, but still frustrating because it now feels like a pretty free lane for Kane. In fact, he even has pressure here. He's just going to proc another electrocute. And on the bottom side, it's really free for the Senna. So Ruler is like, okay, well, you guys swapped to save your Gwen, but he's now going to be up against me. By the way, look at the farm. Zeus has 9 CS. He will finally catch this giant wave, but it's just whatever Ruler wants to do, he can do in this lane. He can stack for free, and then the top side, because of that catch onto Delight, who's now flashless, Keen's just chilling as well.
Yep, I do still think that it was a good idea to swap. That's just how horrible the matchup between the Gwen and the Aurora is. But I 100% agree with you, Wolf. It is a little bit of a worrying time for HLE, because if you're the one that is sort of forced to swap, it means that you forego any tempo in this early stage of the game. You can see there are some swaps continuing to occur as now Ruler comes up towards his top side, and we'll be able to clear out this wave.
And ultimately, though, you know, with the prio they got with a near kill on to get Delight the catch there, it's going to TP the Aurora back down bottom side anyways, and this continues as Ruler continues to stack. And so, you know, it's the right call, like you said, but the hole is so big you can't quite patch it up with that flex tape this time.
Not quite working, as Viper is going to look for another swap, I believe. Will now be going back to base. And so Ruler, slight CS advantage here for the center, and that should continue, as it's going to take a little while before the Jhin walks his way down towards that bottom lane, especially without boots to complete. Zeus at least can now be a little bit immune, but he's just not as immune as he'd really want to be, as you can see there.
You can see with this with this wave state, he's like, got to use his mist to try to clear half of those minions, and then he's like, all right, well, it's gone, I'm out. I got electrocuted, I have TP. Hopefully I don't get my back stopped. And he won't. Viper is down here now. Nah, it looks like he's going to be TPing to the top lane, which again means that Ruler is just chilling. The Senna, who struggles into this 2v2 lane, is like, well, thanks for the freebie, Keen.
Feeling pretty good about it so far. You can see it's only 200 gold, 300 gold, something like that in it. And I think that HLE just going to be pretty happy if their composition lasts towards a mid game, because in skirmishes and things like that, then it will work out. It's just right now in the laning phase, it's not necessarily working. Was that a -1 as well?
It's about to be for Keen.
That was not great. Oh my goodness. And even the Pop Blossom is going to miss. Oh, sorry, the Blooming Burst is going to miss. It's a little bit unfortunate. So
It's not the end of the world here. Like, I think you make a really good point, because Hunalife's comp is still going to be really strong in the mid game. They have great rules. There's no ult here for Delight, means Keen's going to eat some damage, but nothing too big. They get the dragon. But you're absolutely right. This is not dooming early lanes. It's not like they end up with a double kill. You know, it's not like the Jhin lane got killed by a big mistake or something like that, but it's just exactly where GENG want to be. They're in the comfort zone for their comp right now. And Peanut's going to look for a dive here. Let's see if this works better than the EWC ones.
Yeah, you can see Kane does bounce away to the other side, but Delight not too worried about it. He's a cannon minion, just having a great time here as a Realm Warp from Zeka will be able to deliver him, and I don't think Kane's surviving this one. Down he will go. Is that his first blood? The answering kill is going to happen on the top side of the map here as Duro able to tank off the last hit of the turret. Drink your potions, ladies and gentlemen. That gets him through the fire of these minions. First blood does go over to HLE, but the instant answer means that GENG holds onto their lead.
Yeah, Peanut is going to be able to get this red buff away from Canyon, as well as potentially those Krugs if he just goes down and checks and sees they are available. This is kind of insane, the amount of time that is bought here for Keen, though. This gives a ton of time for Canyon to rotate topside to look for that pick. Sidesteps the flourish, is able to get into this Realm Warp, finally does die. But it forced a Realm Warp out of the Rise, right? Like, it's so many resources used, and now there's just nothing to bail Zeus out. The kill does go over to the Wukong here. We're not quite able to secure that one. Duro drinks his potion, tanks the aggro really well. Another plate will go over to Ruler, so he picks up a lot of money from this, but at least Hanolife were able to shut that Aurora down, finally.
Yeah, very, very nicely done that they do manage to kill Kane, but the fact that Zeus goes down does mean that things are relatively even. He is now in a pretty weird spot, as now Canyon gets the smite on that last grub, and Duro is just waiting for this Gwen. So it's likely that Zeus is just dead yet again. He does flash, try and get himself out of the way, but the Cyclone should be able to catch up to him. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the game plan was.
Yeah, that was really bizarre, but at least they get the scuttle.
Huh? Yeah, and the last grub.
Oh, they got the last grub as well. Okay. Sorry, I thought that was a scuttle for some reason. It was just super far out of the pit.
I can understand why you're a bit frazzled.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a weird situation. And
just wasn't quite aware of where Duro was. And we could see him because we have God vision, that it looked odd.
I just don't know what the game plan is, though, for... Like, you have a Jhin who has ult, so maybe that's the call. Like, if the Flash Pop Blossom engage plus the Jhin is there, like, you could win this fight, and the Gwen is just going to be rolling through the fight with her scissors out going, this is awesome. But they just weren't able to rejoin. And so it just looks kind of silly here at the end for Hanwha Life Esports, because he was just way too far ahead of the tempo of his team to be there, and is punished extremely. So both of the kills here in this game going over to Canyon. And the Wukong is going to use the gold well.
Okay, it's a little bit weird. Pop Blossom is going to come through there as Duro's only level 5. Zekka's going to move over, and maybe he gets another one. He doesn't even get an assist as Viper locks down that kill. Evening things out here on the side of HLE after that Zeus death. He's going to feel pretty good. Okay, that's a Tibbers.
That's a cleanse. And a Jhin pushed out of the mid lane. I like where the gold is for Hanwha Life a little bit more than I like where it is here for the side of GENG, but we'll see how this is utilized, as both carries for Hanwha Life ended up picking up money, which shores up some of the deficits in those lanes.
Yeah, I think one of the good things is that Wukong is a champion that you're pretty happy to have money on.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a Triforce, second completed item in the game, as Viper does pick up, I guess it might be about the same time as Viper picks up this Ghost Blade. They're pretty big, and if he can continue to snowball this game, when they have the comp that's scaling, then yeah, it's 100% worth.
Just paying a visit here as Ruler continues to get this shoved in. Zeus probably going to lose a plate on this particular push, as Canyon's moving over, and maybe he loses his life as well. As you can see, Peanut, he is vacating the area now, has a camp towards his top side of the map, and now Zeus left to the Wolves, or maybe the Cows, as he just gets knocked up to high heaven and can't even get the needlework out. That is going to be Pizza Warfare over to GENG. Duro this time, he has the ultimate, so tanking the turret even easier.
They just get the turret too here, I think, and maybe even grab the whole feats of strength. They're going to need another wave, but it's coming through. There needs to be an answer here for Hanwha Life Esports, because on the other side of the map, they're just crashing a wave into top turret. There is no cross map here for HLE. Rotation down from Delight. There's the TP. They've got to do something.
Well, they are going to at least save the turret. Let's see whether they can get anything else as well, as Delight does manage to find the snare. Viper there as well with the deadly flourish. And Canyon, Warrior Trickston, flashes over the wall. And he even gets a bit of a heal. The curtains are being called, though, as now Ruler slowed down. Fourth one comes in. He gives him a bit of an emote as he tanks all the damage.
And Keen is just getting some free time alone with his top turret as well. They got the TP out of Zekka. And GENG are went on both sides of the map here. TP is going to come out from Keen to make sure this turret isn't taken in exchange, but Ruler's got just enough mana to help clear this up. The Dragon will go over to Hanwha Life Esports, so that's a big win. Some of the greed there on that bottom side turret was punished from GENG, but they got the summoners, they got a lot of tempo from this. So even though Drake goes over, I feel like GENG are happy with the position they're in. Now 2,000 gold ahead.
Well, Zeus is farming out this wave underneath the turret. The Dragon is going to be secured here by HLE, and it's a Cloud Soul. Oh man, I was so worried that it was going to be another Mountain Soul. This time it's a Cloud. You love to see it, as Zeus is going to skirt real far away, as Duro is still here, just protecting in the jungle. Long way around there for Zeus.
It's because it takes them so long to get here, and also the fact that, like, it looks like Viper and Delight were going up there. They're going to be delayed on their farm. And then the Aurora's still pushing bottom side here. Peanut can't get into his jungle, and the top turret is just lost.
Well, Deadly Flourish does go down. Crescent Guard not going to help Peanut, as he does flash away and keeps himself alive. But keeping yourself alive is not what HLE want to do. They want to try and find inroads, find advantages. They cannot really do it so far in this game.
Yeah, it's the early game Senecoff. We've said this about GENG a lot in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, where's the Essence Reaver though, Wolf?
Yeah, he just went static Shiv. It's weird. It's like he can clear waves and then join team fights.
Yeah, it's so strange. Anyway, Delight looking to see whether he can find Chovy, but they get a flash and then they back away. Could be a big deal.
That is a big win. And they also were able to defend that topside turret. Cleanse does go down here for Ruler. That looked really weird, but just wants to ensure his safety. Delight is nearby, does have ult and flash, and is on this control ward, so Ruler is just going to be very careful about how he plays this.
Yep, shock horror. Chovy has the most minions in the game. There we go. Big surprise.
Yeah, it's huge. No one's ever seen that before.
No, not in the history of any MOBA.
Chovy's known for missing a lot of chances to miss farm.
Yeah, he misses all of the missing farm.
Zeka should be okay here. I don't quite think Duro reaches him. Exhaust?
Yeah, he just headbutts his way over there as the exhaust does come in. Phase Rush and Flash are enough to get Zeka to relative safety, as now Zeus in a little bit of trouble. But now Delight makes his way over, finds the Pop Blossom, almost just, in fact, does die to the turret. And I don't even think they killed Chovy. So that was weird. It was also a turret that killed a Wukong, I'm pretty sure.
I think that at some point...
Oh, Wukong killed a turret, never mind.
Dandy is going to need to get a picture of... You've been at your local pool before, right? And, you know, the max depth is like 6 feet US. I don't know how many meters, you know, the standard pool is in Australia. But there's usually a big no diving sign right there because it's a bit too shallow. And with these dives we've been seeing from HLE, maybe they need to put that up in the team house because this team has really tried to force these plays. It's Annie. She's got stun prepped. It's not going to work out. And Chovy just walks away scot-free despite no flash. As we'll watch this again, Chovy has the stun here, drops Tibbers down. The turret aggro is picked up here early by the Nico, and then he's just dead. And then Chovy just walks it off with the stun. He's like, all right.
Yeah, that was,
there wasn't a wave there.
Yeah, Delight hadn't transformed into a cannon minion that time, I guess.
Certainly not.
So it wasn't looking as tanky underneath that turret. Anyway, Peanut gonna come on over and try and contest this Rift Herald. Delight thankfully up and available once again, as you got the Aurora and the Gwen both on flank angles, but Keen taking a little while longer to get here. See whether HLE can actually find a way in as Duro. He's ready. He's ready to look for this as there is the smite from Canyon. Duro finding the pulverize, but it's only onto one as now Zeka able to get a fair bit of DPS. Duro trying to run his way out as the needlework comes in. Dawning Shadow, Zeus so close to death, but Tibbers not able to burn that one out just yet. Great knockback there with the Crescent Guard out of Peanut. The root. They are still trying to get out, and that is the root connecting. Keen able to lock that one down. Another flash going to be burned there as Zeka is just going to get pooped on the noggin by Canyon. A big team fight win there from GENG, and they managed to get the objective.
GENG just looking like they are a tier above. Such a far cry from the close games we saw from these teams all year long up until this point. Jovi's going to grab this turret as well as a second charge goes over in the top lane. This game is all but over. 5,500 gold to lead at 16.5 minutes for the Senna composition, and that was a beautiful team fight from GENG. The way they played, how slow they were, Ruler utilizing his ranges. It all starts off with Duro denying Peanut smite entry by pushing him away as they look for the secure, then gets the pulverize here, and look at Ruler just sitting at the back, gets a root here, adds some damage, and Duro incredibly low, right? Ultimate, fantastic. Zeus so low here, can't really get out. Canyon comes in late, he's so fed, gets the Cyclone, buys enough time, they get the root, and Jovi's like, all I need is one stun. Canyon flashes for the second Cyclone here, gets Zeka, then he gets stunned, then he gets taken out. GENG are in control of the entire map, and the scaling is already starting to hit.
Certainly has. You got 44 there on Ruler already. He's been collecting a whole bunch of orbs that have been falling all over the place. HLE at least do still have those 2 Drakes that they put together. The Cloud Drake is up and available, but there are bounties here, Wolf. It is crazy the amount of advantage GENG just found in that one fight. And Keen even able to defend this outer turret at the same time, so it doesn't look like HLE will get any look in at this Dragon.
They see Duro's there, they're like, I guess we can't go for anything onto Keen as Zeka tries to push this in, but like you said, not gonna get this bounty. So much of the gold is on those 3 turrets that were picked up. They got that extra charge topside. They're gonna get the first Dragon for them of the game.
Yep, and that is still 5.4k as far as the lead. Zeus just loses half of his health bar to a bear, and it continues to make him feel uncomfortable. Even pulled away, so it's not 50 gold going over to the Gwen. Zeka now getting comboed here by Keen, who's looking real good on this Aurora. And Peanut, just trying to push away Duro, will be able to successfully do so. Man, what are the Gwen stats for Zeus over the last couple of Gwen games?
Well, I mean, right now...
what was it, 0-7 last time out? Yeah. I don't know whether he's had another Gwen game since then.
I think he was 0-5 to start in that first series they had against, what was it, Employ? I can't remember. But it was not a great start, but they did end up coming back in that one. I don't know if that's going to happen this time around, Atlas. It just does not feel like there is any angle.
And it was another blind Gwen that got counted by an Aurora as well. So we kind of knew what to expect. This is something that Keen did to Flandre, I'm pretty sure, in the final of EWC. So not like it's a surprise as to what was going on. But still, game isn't over, right? Like, the Nexus is still alive.
GENG are not going to try to force anything here in this red buff fight because they can instead just use Chovy to pull people back. They know they have a numbers disadvantage here. They know they have topside control. As going to see a funky teleport here from Duro. It does not catch his opposition. Chovy's chilling.
Yeah, win becomes nothing as Peanut needs to be healed to make his way out in a 1 versus 3 against Chovy.
Well, we started this series off with Peanut being 6 kills away. We're still there as he gets pushed away in another failed attempt to look for a dive onto this Annie.
And that was all trying to get some position around this Otacon. That is still up and available, or is going to be up and available in 17 seconds.
I mean, yeah, GENG are just kind of waiting for objectives to spawn at this point, as Ruler just keeps stacking.
Yep, 2 items have also been completed here already for Chovy at the same time, so he's feeling very good. The 4-0 Wukong as well is a massive problem.
It's the Tibbers build too, man. He's got his big extra damage. Well, why am I forgetting the first item he builds name, the old cooldown item?
It was Malignance.
Malignance, thank you. And his Bloodletter's Curse. Like, he is just going to do so much damage with Tibbers in these fights.
Yep.
It's crazy.
The bear does the burn, and it's looking real frightening. And there it is. The bear is doing the burn. Peanut is once again taking a lot of damage as Duro looking for that headbutt angle, but Peanut able to audaciously charge his way out. Teleport in from Zeus. Gets him behind them.
They have a control ward here, and he is spotted now. And he's just going to go push mid instead, as it looks like HLE, no confidence to contest this objective. The Jin, the Rise, nowhere near this. TP going to come through for safety from Keen. And
yeah.
GENG are saying just +1.
Just to make sure that they get it. The ward does go over as now Delight getting a snare onto Duro. Now they're going to look away from this Otacon and just destroy Peanut. Zeka able to get out of there, but man, they are not going to be able to defend this Otacon take. And GENG just own the Rift right now. Keen flashes in, doesn't manage to get Zeka, which was the prime target, but gets his flash as he immediately gets himself the heck out of there. And HLE just cannot find any way into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one has been, frankly, done since we suggested it was earlier, but I mean, Hano Life is still grouping for objectives, right? They're still trying to play League of Legends. But GENG said, I've unplugged the keyboards, metaphorically speaking, as they just can't play the game.
Yep.
Ian looking for the flash play here is actually so insanely bold, but he has the ward to kind of back that up. Does not work out, but I respect it because I don't know if he's really going to miss it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's the kind of game where he really needs that button.
Well, now it's a 6,000 gold lead. And GENG, I mean, there are some bounties up, but I just don't know whether HLE are ever going to get within range of a turret.
Do you think
try and capitalize?
Do you think if you could remove, like, each player on GENG randomly loses a Q, W, or E on their keyboard? Like, it would really suck if Ruler lost his Q, but, like, I think they could probably still win from here. That's the lead they have. That's the map control they have. Ruler may just be in the Ruler spot.
Yeah, he is definitely in the Ruler spot, but he does cleanse the slow. Pop Blossom not going to quite find Ruler, but he's still dead. They do manage to catch out Duro, who's flashing to get himself away. As GENG losing Ruler in the Ruler spot is something they're very used to, but now they have to contend with this. The Pulverize, so good in that moment, but Chovy still in so much trouble. He flashes away though, and he survives, and now the Wukong has found them. Finally, the kill does come on through there as they lock down the kill onto the cow at the same time, and now Canyon, a massive shutdown available here for Viper if he can get there, but still Canyon's running away. We need to find some of these bullets as the needlework comes in, and Zeus will finally get a shutdown, and HLE, that is so much money they just accrued.
I guess I should have asked the question, do you think if they remove the AD carry from GENG, if Hano Life Esports could still win the game? I don't know what to say about this. My man is in his shade, pushing in to the inner turret, while his team is trying to get that deep vision on the top side, but does not have it. Of course, he gets punished there, where he often has. It's just a player trait, let's say. It would be bound the back of his trading card. Chovy buys a ton of space here. The Cyclone does as well, and it starts to look like for just a second, if Keen could get here, GENG could actually still win this fight.
Angry Tibbers gets so much done in this fight as well. It's kind of crazy.
And look at how long Canyon survives here, by the way, as well. As Zeus is also maybe going to survive. Chovy has stun.
Yeah, Zeus was immune at least. Does have flash available, so he is just going to use it as the Tibbers comes down. Well played there from Zeus to make sure that he definitely gets out of there, because if he does get caught out, then it could be a big deal. Artican was still taken, of course, for GENG, as you can see towards the top side, but it is still Soul Point up on the table here as Duro possibly out of position. The rest of the team are looking to make their way over, though. And Delight, that was his clone. They do have full information. Duro still does have his ultimate, but is down to 50%, so might need to use it earlier than he'd otherwise want, as captive audience is going to be there. They're looking for Viper, who he just wants to walk to join the fight, but Chovy finds the auto, and down goes the Jhin before anything could even start.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus is trying to get a turret in the bottom lane, but I think that's all they're going to get here, as this dragon is forfeit. The second dragon here for GENG this game is going to give them more rotational power on the map. These Cloud Drakes stacking up, and they're going to use it right away to look for a potential pick on the Zeus. He has no TP. They know exactly where he is. That back is not going to complete.
Nope, that is not going to work. He's going to do some needle stuff as Duro almost dies, but he is still going to be taken down. Duro is going to live. They get his ult. That is about it.
I mean, that's all Zeus can really do in this situation. His sacrifice will bring 5 GENG players to the bottom of the map, which allows Zeka to delete some minions here in the mid lane. They were able to take, you know, the turret as well down there, that outer, so Zeus picks up some money. He actually has a gold lead over Keen in this game somehow. Maybe that 0-4-0-5 power spike at work here. I'm being facetious, but I mean, it's the only good news here for Hanwha Life.
Yep, and I mean, he killed Canyon, that's why.
Yeah.
Canyon is currently a 7-1-2 Wukong, so that should have been about 1,000 gold that he picked up from that one kill alone. I don't know whether it really puts HLE in a good position in this game.
It's a less bad position.
I would say less bad is exactly right, as Zeka is going to discover, Keen is going to discover Zeka, I think I should say. And now they're looking for it. Delight is just going to die. Zeka is now very dead, as Realm Warp, never mind. Just gets himself out. Now Peanut dealing with a bear underneath the turret, but does use his Crescent Guard to get himself out of there. But there's some long cooldowns invested just to keep HLE members alive, and it doesn't work for Delight.
It's one of those moments where the observers have to zoom out so you can see the carnage on both sides. As Peanut's exhausted.
Yeah, over the wall goes Canyon. He tries to do something funny, but Ruler comes on over and helps take him down with Keen. And so, yeah, GENG, I think it should just be Baron time.
It is, in fact, Baron time. And GENG are like, maybe
look at
they'll
this
contest
patrolling Tibbers.
Yeah, maybe they'll contest and we'll get even more. Nope, it's just going to be a Viper push in the mid lane. He gets caught by Duro, the mid-push police. Yep, we'll push him away. And where's the angle here for Hanwha Life? I mean, Zeka, he doesn't have 16. He will eventually get it. He's sitting in the side lane right now, but
I think ask Ruler nicely to once again over-push in the mid lane.
It's not a Pop Blossom, you know, dash cannon here. It's a hopefully get out. Oh, I didn't quite make it. And then Peanut's just trying to do anything he can because he knows there's Baron up. And with his support dead, he's got to be the next in line to try to push Vision and Leapfrog. He's hoping they are doing Baron so he can kill that Vision and maybe look for a steal because he has Flash. Nope, just dead because he can't see anything. He can't do anything.
Oh, now Peanut thinks he's found Duro, but there's a Blast Cone. So Duro is just going to continue wandering around the jungle. Canyon split pushing. He is a very scary split pusher as well, as this 8-1-3 Wukong now. They'll take the inner turret, only extend that gold lead further. 8,000 is the tune of that one.
I mean, Keen's going to get this turret in mid, and now they can really start sieging this base directly.
They're going to have to find more than this. Zeka is just taken down to a quarter health, just because Chovy wanted to get his bear out. And
we all want to drop a bear sometimes.
Indeed. As an Australian, I know all about drop bears. And now the Pop Blossom is going to find a couple here as Ruler does cleanse it. Delight, his work is done, but oh god, it was not enough. They do manage to get Keen, congratulations for that one, but their base is now in tatters. Peanut's also going to get slowed down and then destroyed. Ruler getting his revenge after that overstep in mid, and GENG are just going to look to end game number 1 pretty swiftly here as they follow their Baroned up minions. Viper, oh my goodness, almost just destroyed by his former mid laner as the curtains are going to get called, but I don't think it's for GENG as the bullets are going to sail by. Ruler with the emote spam. Looking pretty cute there, but this Nexus is going to be the focus. Viper will get taken down one more time. And there goes the Nexus. GENG from strength to strength. Remember, guys, they got home yesterday. They're back in, different patch, and they still look that good.
Yep, just very little prep time for this. doesn't matter. Curtain call from Viper, who's the only person on Hanwha Life Esports looks like might have played better than his opposition in role. It was an everything else gap. And the curtain call comes out, he dies, and I think GENG were ready to take a bow, Atlas, because this was an insane, huge win. Like, this is beating Hanwha Life, the second place team, leading into Road to MSI. Oh yes, Peanut's looking for 2,000. I would have gotten more in one game than he needed this whole series to get it. Gets 1,500. Here's the third player to do so. Canyon just crushing him in the jungle in this game, and that might have been the biggest gap of all in game one.
I would agree with you there, and maybe Canyon beats Peanut to 2,000. I know Peanut only needs 6 more kills, but at this rate, Canyon might get there first. 500, 6, I guess it's, you know, there's a decent gap, but I think he's made infinitely more progress here in this game than Peanut did. As, yeah, that graph, not exactly the most linear, but it was still all blue here for GENG. Looking absolutely fantastic. It is, of course, a best of 3. Blue side will go over to HLE in the next one, and we may not have a Gwen versus Aurora matchup in the next couple of games. And by may, I mean we can't. So that is probably a good thing. Time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, the space, gonna break that one down, then we'll have game number 2. See you there.
이제 꼭 맞았다. 니꺼. 괜찮아. 나 봐줄게. 현재 맞아요? 나 짜고 높게 끝난 거 같은데? 끝내자. 내가 먹을게. 맛있어. 드디어 이렇게 됐네. 그러네. 뭐야. 서포시네. 이거 대포에 바론 버프 안 맞춰야 되나? 탑라인 오긴 한다. 오케이. 템플 모르겠다. 링 보는 거 받았고. 딘 노스펠. 하나 칠게요. 버튼풀. 알아서 해봐. 티보. 야, 맞았다.
I've seen a lot of people talking about T1's performance at EWC and how it's related. I really think, for the most part, jet lag and schedule means very little in actual professional play. These players play so many hours a day. They do not travel in coach at the back of the plane, okay? They're trained for this. Both of these teams came from similar setups. Everyone looks pretty tired, as you and I also know, because we came back yesterday, we're pretty tired. But I don't think this is really going to be the defining thing. I think it is a fun talking point, especially because GENG is still maintaining that insane elite form against LCK's current second-place team, despite all those conditions. But they just looked the stronger team. They had the stronger draft. They had that prio. And for Hanwha Life here, I think you're just going to have to reset, you know, delete everything that happened in Game 1 and go, look, we have taken this team to the maximum distance. We have beat them in those Game 5s twice this year. We absolutely can beat this team. Let's just forget what happened in that first game draft and adjust here as we move into Game 2.
Yep, and I think ever since HLE lost to GENG in the road to MSI, they haven't really looked like the same team as well. So we're looking for that turnaround. We're looking to see whether they can actually find you know, that magic that they had, especially back in first stand, where they seemed like they were never going to be able to lose in those last games.
Considering he's like, is Zeka good enough with Azir to beat what I have prepared? He's like, nah, I'll ban Yone.
Well, it is going to be the Azir left up. And there is a Talia available as well, so it could just be first pick Talia.
Also,
make sure that that isn't there as an answer.
They could wait and see if Chovy picks the Azir and maybe Zeka plays his Sylas into it, and they go for something else here instead. The Xin Zhao is already gone, the Wukong is gone, so could look for like a Trundle pick, but I don't think that's first pickable, to be honest with you, Atlas. So you don't want to pick a tank here because Canyon will lock the Trundle. Viper says he wants to play Aphelios. No, he doesn't.
That would have been the weirdest.
I was so hyped to see Aphelios. It's been 200 years actually since we've seen him.
I think it might have actually been 200 years. I think that's why there was the 200 years meme. I think it had nothing to do with anything else. As the Lucian is going to be the first lock-in, so this is just making sure GENG makes the first move on the Talia or Azir question. I know the answer. It's generally they just pick Azir and don't care.
Yeah, Chovy doesn't care. We've already learned this. We've already seen this.
Well, this does mean that now Zeka and Peanut can pick a 1-2 punch in mid-jungle and try and answer, as the Corki is going to be the answer to the Lucian. Talia was very obviously coming on through, but I want to see something from Peanut that can really join this Talia and give Chovy a hard time. We're not going to see it here, as the Lucian Braum will be the priority.
I think that makes sense if you really want to maximize this lane, especially with the Corki on the other side. You really need something like that. I mean, that's the best. Like, Nami is old news. Lucian Braum is the new strong synergy with the passive procs. Rel will be the answer here from Duro. And now, you know, both junglers haven't locked in anything, right? So we might see a complete lockout there. I like the position of Hanwha Life Esports here because they get to see the first ban from GENG and then decide what direction they want to go, because instead they might want to try to lock Keen's pull out and give Zeus a favorable matchup, but he's not going to have counter pick because you are on blue side here as Hanwha Life.
This is going to be really interesting, actually, because I believe the jungle pool will be quite thinned out.
I think that's probably what's going to happen, but GENG get to make the first call on that.
See what it is going to be. Of course, top lane is something that they could also focus on. The Trundle, though, going to be the first thing taken away. That gives Keen the ability to just lock blind Scion.
Yeah, they
might really be too worried about it, although the Cho'Gath we saw from the Lord was very, very powerful.
They might just have to ban Scion because of it, because it's so good with GENG's comp. And Lucian really struggles to cut through that. Skarner, another pick that first came to mind here for me for Canyon, even though he likes to play it into the Xin Zhao that's already Fearless banned. It's just so powerful with the Azir and Rel and the combos that can come with it.
Yeah, he's just very, very good at the Skarner. I think Skarner Lee Sin would make some sense, as Canyon's Lee Sin is just utterly terrifying, and I just don't think Peanut is the same Lee Sin player that he used to be.
Poppy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that is definitely a Peanut choice, if ever I've seen one.
That's a great ban. You know, that is like 2 Peanut, as a lot of these other, you know, Lee Sin players get in terms of respect.
Yep.
See what this final ban is going to be. I guess you could ban like Maokai here, but it might just be, you know, something a little bit safer. No, it's going to be a Renekton ban.
Renekton is a really interesting ban. Wonder what that means for what Zeus is considering doing here towards the top side. Right now, decent amount of damage here presented by HLE.
When I see a Renekton ban, I 100% save counter pick for Keen. I'm like, that's weird. Let's wait and see.
Well, it's likely going to be a jungle lock-in, I imagine, for Canyon. Just make sure that Keen does have that counter pick.
Yes.
They wait out the clock. Will be a Jarvan. So J4, something that Canyon, I believe, brought back to popularity when he did, you know, show himself this year.
It's a pretty popular pick right now, although it's still niche. Very strong into Talia, not as strong into Lucian, but still can be. Even if you don't kill him, it can just push him out of the fight because he's so low range. If he has to dash away or flash if he's already dashed, then you kind of win the fight. This was not what I was looking for in response.
I mean, it is Freljordian. You know, you've got a couple of those. It's kind of cool.
Is it just a Jax lock?
I wouldn't mind it. Honestly, like, Camille as well could kind of work here for Zeus. Try and threaten something. Of course, blind Camille doesn't feel great.
Jackson to Corki Azir. I like this more. I like this more because it does give you backline access. It's a less punishable blind pick as well, it seems like. You know, based on what we've been seeing from it, it's risen in priority so much in Fearless Draft, especially on the previous patch and now here on 25-14. So the answer is going to be the Keen Sante, bringing it back again.
Yep, this is certainly one of his favorites and has worked in this matchup in the past. It doesn't necessarily make you feel like he's going to slaughter the lane or anything like that, and I honestly feel like Zeus is going to be breathing a sigh of relief. You know, I actually get to play the video game this time around, which I imagine he's pretty happy about. See Dandy as well, feeling a little bit better about how this one has gone. Still, I don't think there's a big edge here or anything like that for HLE in this draft.
I feel like you have to be really careful about the battles you choose to fight as Hanwha Life with this draft, because while you have great pick potential with the backline access of the Mbessa, the burst damage that Lucian has to follow up on something like a flickback, that seismic shove onto anybody. Even an aggressive Jarvan can be punished. It's hard to play Jarvan into Taliyah in situations like this. If you, though, miss your engage, you're running Braum. They have a rel, their re-engage with Azir is insane. If you botch the execution, GENG will wipe you every single time. So Hanwha Life Esports need to be crisp. They are so known, sometimes to their detriment, for making snap calls in team fights, though. This is a comp that does suit, I think, that version of Hanwha Life Esports. You snap your fingers, you go, you see blood in the water, you make that engage happen, but it is going to have to be crisp. There are no do-overs in this comp.
Man, it's so cool that the last letter of all of their names spells start. I didn't actually know that. And maybe they should take some advice from the last letter of all of their names combined, because starting to do some winning here for HLE is certainly going to be a real good idea, because this is the beginning of round 3, and they want to try and catch up to GENG as best they can. Imagine the dopamine hit that they would get for denying 27 series in a row. Well, if they win 2 in a row here, they might just be able to do so. Let's dive into the Rift for Game 2. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. On to the Rift for game number 2, HLE versus GENG. See whether we can make it to 6 games today. That would be an absolute treat here at the very start of our first round 3 of any season that we've had in the LCK ever. And Zeus, Keen, Canyon, and Peanut just playing around here. Peanut's going to move up. Zeus also just being a little bit frustrating. Canyon shows him the flag, and they do back away.
The level 1 here between the Lucian lane and the Corki lane, very, very important. And you know, it's not an auto win for either side, but because of how important it is, you know, a lot of respect being shown here, very much from Ruler and Duro. Not going to let the concussive blows stack up, not going to face check into this bottom 2v2 and allow that potential to happen.
Yep, level 1 Braum is pretty good.
Yeah, we've seen this oftentimes outside of the lane, but even in the lane here, before Ruler has his Valkyrie, you know, if you end up getting stacked up on, you are going to have to flash in most cases, cleanse at least. We'll see what that the bottom lane, we're watching the mid lane now, that bottom lane does look like his Cannon will be seen on vision as he comes over here to try to threaten. He knows it's there.
Yep, he throws up the little Yuumi emote. You like to see it, because of course he saw Peanut moving on the ward himself. And so now, level 2 gank time against Zeka could be the option.
Jarvan's one of those champs, man, that can make it happen. Zeka is going to have to walk away.
The thing is, he skates away, and so Canyon is not going to be able to kill him. And now, Zeka still going to be looking a bit worse for wear, because of course he is a long way away from the minion wave.
Yeah, some time lost here for Canyon, but arguably more importantly, some time lost for Zeka. And Peanut can't punish this, so Canyon is still going to be able to steal these Krugs away and is now in position to threaten the Lucian Braum lane, who has that pressure. So this pathing here for Canyon is super intelligent. He is not quite able to hit level 3 off of those Krugs, but he's going to come over here and annoy Delight and Viper.
This is kind of awkward, though, because now Peanut is on the red buff. I believe spotted Canyon going over the wall into the Dragon Pit. And so Peanut, not going to be too worried about this situation, because of course he does have a couple of camps in the lead after the funny business that Canyon tried to get done. Zeus playing pretty aggressively here towards the top side, just happy to be in a melee matchup. And Keen holding his own. You can see the health bars very, very even between these two.
Keen's on insane form right now, and I feel like Zeus is not quite at his peak over the last few weeks of play. But it is always such a treat to watch these two collide against each other in the top lane, and watching Zeus put the pressure on in a matchup like you mentioned in the draft that can be Mbessa favored. Very fun to watch as Peanut. We'll see if he can get out of here with the Gromp.
Yep, does so. And Delight was there protecting him. Good to see. As now should be a scuttle going over to Peanut. can get back towards that Gromp if you would like, but as you can see, the top scuttle is there, so Canyon should be able to go up, collect that one, and shows us another terrified Yuumi, as he's just feeling a little bit embarrassed, I guess.
There's this League of Legends pack of emotes on Kakao Talk that was limited, and I thought I got it, but I didn't. G-Sun sends it to me all the time, and it's got Yuumi and Teemo, and I think it's got maybe another champ in there as well, but the Yuumi ones are the best. They're so silly. I really wish I got it, man.
Yeah, no, I was really sad that I missed out on that one too. I'm very happy that I had the Psyduck one though that Dan got. That one's the best. As Peanut is just being annoying here on this Sejuani. Of course, one of his more successful picks, as he is just going to face check here. Canyon locks this one down as Duro could be in trouble. Viper's here for some reason, but Chovy is also, and now Ruler making his way over, the Valkyrie in as Zeka turns up. Seismic Shove goes down, but Peanut is just dead. Canyon might be traded, but he is going to make it back to the rest of his teammates.
Duro!
As Duro, that was massive. The Shattering Strike so good as Viper's the target, and it's a double kill for Ruler. Zeka as well now trying to run away as the concussive blows comes down, but the crash down is too good here as the shove comes back, but he has to sacrifice himself, and Chovy gets a big old shield, and they do manage to get the feats of warfare off the back of a 5-minute skirmish.
Yeah, not sure if worth with this one. Hanwha Life Esports don't hands check this team. Just do not do it. And Ruler gets over the wall there, gets that insane engage with Duro. That was the big difference maker. It's 2 kills for Ruler after that. And I'm not sure if Zeka is going to say worth for trading his life right afterwards, as Peanut gets out here on the flash, and they don't have vision of Ruler, but they should, I think, reasonably assume that he is coming over here. He gets the first kill, and then Duro, this engage here where he hits all 3 on the angles, just game-breaking, potentially game-ending here, and Zeka just feels like he is doomed. He wants to get something out of this. Goes for the follow-up here on the Duro, just barely is able to crash down. Gets the flip back, but dies for it.
Yeah,
watch this play.
Yeah, from Duro's perspective, man, that shadow. Absolutely gorgeous. And even make sure that Ruler gets the double kill in the back end of it. As he's calling the majority of this fight, something that Arnold was actually talking about on the in the studio for EWC as well, just talking up how good Duro has been for this team, even though he is so incredibly young.
He sacrificed himself there too for the final play. You know, like he was min-maxing the entire time. Just so incredibly gifted at this young age. Like his acceleration in his career is faster than Delight's, right? The former support of GENG who faces him now.
I mean, he didn't play on Bro, so that's a little bit of a downside for Duro. Delight still has that on him, but there's still time. There is absolutely still time.
It's just interesting to see similar trajectories here, but a faster one for Duro as Chovy may be in trouble.
Yeah, Empress Divide doesn't really do too much here as Canyon looking to come in. They do have information, but it is going to be the smite out from Peanut that will work. Still, Delight could be in trouble as he wants to stand beside his teammates, but the all-out is going to prevent that from happening. And that means that the flashless Braum is just food here for GENG.
The Dragon, though, does go over to Hanwha Life Esports, and some of these minions will be denied. Nothing too crazy. Ruler would get most of these. But he's got 2 kills, so I think he's happy to, or not happy to, but not as worried about losing a little bit of CS. I just don't know if that was worth at the end of the day, especially how close the Secure did come down to. And it's just Hanwha Life testing GENG at so many of these points, and GENG are not failing the test, as Ruler does not have flash.
Yeah, we're checking a whole bunch of these lanes here. As, yeah, Ruler is in a little bit of trouble, but Zeus is just going to push him back towards that turret. Does have the ulti available, but wants to make sure that Ruler's Valkyrie is on cooldown so that he can actually hit it. Looks for a little bit more harass, but otherwise it is just control of the lane. And this time, Zeus is looking pretty good. Doesn't quite have the kill that Keen has, but a 20 CS lead will keep him ahead as far as money is concerned. Teleport back into this top lane here for Keen. That's all right, Peanut. Not going to be taking the grubs. We'll actually look to give them away, perhaps, but Zeus is coming down. Yeah, I mean, not his favorite position.
Zeka doesn't have flash, you know, and it's an awkward angle if he tries to Weaver's wall in. Even though Chovy's low and doesn't have Emperor's Divide, it's just too greedy, I think, to go in. He's considering it still, though.
Level 6 was just picked up, as he does have the Glacial Prison now available. Duro in trouble. There's a public execution to try and lock him down. He does crash over the wall. Winter's Bite follows him. It will be the Grubs going over to HLE. Gets them one step closer as well to those feats. They do manage to get another one of these objectives as we are checking out the bottom side. checking in with the 80 carries, but no real skirmish to break out there, and Duro being a bit sneaky there, getting himself out.
Yeah, barely gets out, but grubs do go the way of Hanwha Life Esports as a result of it. I mean, 2 out of 3, so that's the objective
condition? You can take that. You can
well,
say that.
yeah, I meant to say secured. I don't know where the C part was coming from there, but anyway.
I like objective condition for the feats of strength. I think
that actually worked really well. Ruler was holding this wave close to his turret. Delight had unsealed spellbook, so he knew he might just get 2v1. So actually in a relatively safe spot here until Duro shows up. That was pretty smart from Ruler, trying to deny some farm there as well, and we'll actually be able to catch up mostly off of this wave. Just going to be that about 10 CS behind that he was for this game so far.
Yep. As now Peanut and Canyon are just fighting one another.
I don't know if Peanut likes that.
Well, there is the Permafrost available here for Peanut, and that's going to get himself out of there. There is the blast going over from Canyon.
Because Chovy also could kind of hang out in that fight if they continue it. He's surfing. Speaking of surfing, Zeka does show up first.
Yeah, Glacier Prison does come down. There it is. Canyon is just dead. Peanut gonna go down. And even if the red had have gone over to Canyon, it would have immediately transferred back to Peanut afterwards. So nicely played here by HLE. Grabbed another one back, and they are well and truly within touching distance of the gold here between themselves and GENG. Is now another fight towards the bottom side. Why does Duro only hit multiple people with Shattering Strike? He is just too good. But that is going to stop the aggression here from HLE on the bottom side.
I mean, if Peanut could buy himself a 3rd game with an early lead like this, you know, maybe he could hit those 6 kills. He's got his first one.
Oh my goodness! That is a massive,
on the board.
Massive move here from Peanut.
And Zeka just, you know, can rotate faster because of his passive. He can just surf his way down. And Chovy looked like he was going to match, but it just didn't. And then it's almost like Canyon and he miscommunicated what was going to happen there. And then Zeka showed up, and that was the end of Canyon. Chovy just decided not to go over there. Didn't want to walk face first into his own shove.
I'm going to say limit testing.
Sure.
As we've seen a fair bit of that from GENG. That's why most of their games go to 3 or 5, depending on the best of level. So
there's limit testing and there's draft testing as well for this team.
Yeah, there certainly is.
So Zeka took the long way around here. Is actually able to avoid that control vision, but I think they should have realistically assumed, based on how long he was missing from mid there, that he did show up. Chovy was late, and so could not impact the play. Good rotation from Zeka.
Yep.
And Peanut wins out.
It's nicely done. And that lead for Zeus is also continuing towards the top side of the map. The kill, pretty important for Keen to keep him in it in this matchup, as the Eclipse is now complete for Zeus. The teleport is going to be up very soon. Keen getting a shove in, does have his Iceborne Gauntlet done. And so the Cassante is on track. And GENG wanting to get towards late game team fights, right? That's what this composition is going to do. The Cassante being phenomenal frontline. HLE pretty happy to be there as well. A little bit of a different composition that works very, very well if you can catch a member out, right? You start it, you get the concussive blows on one, and then you move through the team of GENG and just whittle them down.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly powerful. The pick here is so strong. For GENG, it's the 2 item spikes that are the biggest ones for the Azir and the Corki.
Yep.
As Hanwha Life Esports a bit split here.
Yeah, a little bit of danger here for Delight.
Zeus, of course,
stabbed a little.
Yeah, Zeus can join in with his ultimate, but he needs to do it fast. And if they're going to be indecisive, like you said, Delight is going to get stabbed. And we all hate Stabby Book.
Yeah, Stabby Book is not the way. Slay the Spire fans will know. Don't want those wounds in your deck, and it just does way too much damage. Just never mind, we've got a Dragon starting up. There is Viper towards bottom side, but he's a fair way away from his teammates. They're going to get tagged. There's a Magnet Storm, but it doesn't really get what they want done. Canyon gets into the backline, but he's exhausted, and now Viper will show up. Keen's at full health, though, and I don't think they can make anything happen here. I don't know about that one. Zeus is 3-man. Emperor's Divide from Chovy as they take down Peanut as well. They take down the Dragon. Chovy does die. Zeus is limping away now. HLE, they're looking for it. Keen wants to be able to find it onto Zeus, but he's toying with them and even finds the kill on the back end.
And it's looking like maybe Hanwha Life still have enough life in them to potentially bring us to 3. As this fight was close, it was scrappy, but GENG getting a little bit too close to the sun on this one. I mentioned their incredible re-engage. It's not supposed to be viable, though, in this type of situation, because Duro doesn't really hit the mark with this, right? There's no follow-up. Canyon's re-engage back on the Peanut here is super cute as he both blocks Peanut down and then retreats. And Chovy is playing with fire here, ends up getting ulted. They pull Zeus back, but he survives, and then Chovy looks for this massive, massive angle, and it's almost enough to turn the tide. Zeus barely survives as Ruler just chases him almost as if Zeus is magnetic, and the peel is there.
I have absolutely no idea how he survived that. Eclipse plus Ambessa shielding shenanigans really working out here for this top laner. And Zeus, 2-0-2? What the heck? That is not the Zeus we've been seeing in the last couple of series, and we know what he can do with a lead. And it's looking like we might get reminded just how dangerous that is. He even has level 2 ultimate now at level 11.
Yeah, we might find out what the equation, like if K equals 2, D equals 0, and A equals 2. What is Zeus? Solve for Zeus, because right now it's looking pretty good.
What does win percentage look like? That might be moving closer to 100. We'll just have to see. Series win, that is going to be a different story, as of course GENG will have the opportunity to move back towards the blue side if they do lose this game. Still, HLE looking better in this one, absolutely. But it is still very even, right? It's only an 800 gold lead. Not exactly a GENG win or loss just yet, but it is going to be Hextech Soul, so these Dragons are going to be so important. Keen going forward, knows the Canyon is in tow, and Zeus not going to bite, just going to back away.
Yeah, this is still a tense game. You know, the scaling elements of GENG's draft means that even though they fell a little bit behind in gold here, they are absolutely still a potent force, have really good turn, really good setup for engages. And it's a Hextech Soul, which means that this next dragon fight is 100% going to be high value, or rather both teams will compete for it. So, you know, the dragon itself is high value, so that's why we will see that fight. So leading to that, the Herald that gives you prio for it is where the teams are going to have their eyes in. Ruler and Duro close to that Herald right now, had a little bit of vision control. Hanwha Esports coming to contest now. Chovy will have his TP back very soon here, but there's a window where maybe HLE get this first as Canyon shows down here as well. This is great for HLE.
Certainly is.
Peanut's just starting it up.
And Canyon does come on over, loses 50% of his health bar. Zekra is actually doing a fair bit of damage, even if he does have a build that doesn't necessarily do the most with one item. Zeus going to move on over to help take this one out. That will happen. 2 minutes until the dragon as well. Pretty good timer as far as picking this one up.
It was nearly a solo Herald. That almost never happens in pro play. Peanut just a second Canyon shows. They're like, all right, well, this should be free.
Ow. Viper realizing that trading with this guy is looking tough. As Trinity Force is done. So just the Essence for Zeal, not going to quite be enough there, as Keen looking worse for wear. Teleport comes in from Chovy. They do want to switch up these lane assignments, and you can't really blame them for it.
Yeah, this TP to the bottom lane from Keen is going to take a little while, but not going to be punished by Zek or anything like that. He's actually just going to, well, he channeled it back. He is looking to continue to push now, as Keen has to make a tough choice. Does he TP bottom, or does he help his team out in mid? The Herald is already gone. He does decide to go bottom side there and defend, but Hanwha Esports have so much tempo right now. They're really pulling GENG around the map, which is something we don't always say.
Well, Keen was thinking about picking up some petals, but Zeka says absolutely not. As the Otacon going to be up in 3 minutes' time. We have 50 seconds on this dragon, though. That is going to be the big one, as that was a much better looking trade here for Viper.
So remember, Hanwha Esports got the Herald. They have double soul lane TP advantage because both soul laners of GENG had to repair their bottom and top lanes. So they both TP. Chovy went top, like you said. Keen swapped back to the bottom lane. So 2 TPs are down. Hanwha Esports can get all 5 members over to this dragon and use the Herald to kind of set up the prio in advance. It's hard to imagine a world where GENG get this, but I think Chovy's already kind of got his eye in on that top turret. He's not as interested in committing to the fight. Will back away.
Yeah, it does manage to force Zeka to move up because, of course, they want to catch that wave. We've got a back coming on through here for Keen as he's looking to get himself out of the way. Rift Herald actually invested towards the bottom side. That is going to guarantee the feats of strength here, as first Turret Blood will go over to HLE.
That's also, you know, it's not through the mid lane, but it's prio for the dragon.
Yep.
And Chovy having no TP means he can at best try to trade for this top turret. But look at how Zeka's playing this. He's like, yeah, it's going to take you a while to take this. I'm just simply not going to try to defend. I'm not going to let you dive, get a kill plus turret, as that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they don't quite get the charge in the mid lane, but Viper is going to come on up and look to get a bit of extra damage down, utilizing the Rift Herald to tank that one up for them. Duro and Ruler here to try and defend, as Chovy did manage to get that top outer turret with Canyon's help. He's going to move back towards this mid lane as well. Peanut taking about 17 years to take this dragon, and that might actually get GENG over here. The culling going to be invested just to make sure this finally goes down. Peanut feeling very old after that one. Felt like it really took years off his life to kill that dragon.
Yeah. Zeka lost a little bit of farm because he did not want to get dove there on the top side, which means Chovy starts to take a significant CS advantage over him. Did get the turret, has 2 kills, so he's got like 1,000 gold over his opposition here.
Yeah.
But given the game state, Zeka is a lot more of a facilitator in this one than he is the main character, and being a little bit down on gold against Chovy doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to be able to do his job. But the game is still very even. And that's what's scary for Hanwha Life. Is sure, you have control now, but all it takes is one hiccup, one bump on the road, and then GENG's explosive composition will just crush you. Start taking those turrets off the map they haven't taken yet. There's so much standing gold there, and they will pull into the lead. So you really need to keep the gas, or keep your foot on the gas here as Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, and GENG in a pretty good spot right now. 2-item spike now hit for Chovy. You mentioned his big advantage, so he is going to be able to get to that 2-item spike before Zeka does. Zeus does have his, right? It feels like Zeus versus Chovy in this game quite a lot, given his big advantage there towards the top side of the map. Black Cleaver is now complete, as Peanut will be able to lock down his Raptor. That is certainly good news. Chovy the Pigeon coming on over, trying to grab some of those scraps, does not manage to do so. As Keen, yeah, taking some severe damage here from Zeus. As of course you build armor into the Black Cleaver, and you're not necessarily feeling as good as otherwise. It's okay, Canyon gonna come on over here as Zeus just dashes out of the way of everything.
Yeah, Ruler is here.
Yeah, they are really,
I mean, look at the flank, the flank from Chovy too. Yeah. HLE might just want to let this turret go.
Seismic shove going wide here.
Chovy
gets into the backline, finds nothing with the ulti as Zeka tries to get himself out. They blow up the Braum immediately, but Peanut is so tanky, and the public execution into the backline from Zeus is so good. The all-out now from Keen onto Viper. Will be able to take him down, but Zeka is there with the damage, and Zeus, how dare you keep limping away from these fights?
So close to death again. Canyon wanting to go on to Zeka here.
Yeah, trying to find more of the threaded volleys coming down, but it is not the seismic shove to find the mark. And GENG have the health lead. Teleport back in here as well. Yeah. As HLE looking to really get the pincer in.
Double TP because they know the health bars here are low from GENG. If they stay, Duro could ult and actually, or sorry, excuse me, Delight could ult and they could actually get killed. And if they don't back, I mean, they're going to get killed in the mid lane there too, and then the turrets are going to be under fire. Chovy's angle here is incredible, right? Like, but the reaction from Viper is insane, and Chovy doesn't hit anything. Sure, the wall keeps them in place, but it takes too long to get through that really chunky front line here for the side of GENG. This is a heroic move here from Keen, because if Viper does not go down, this is a way worse situation here. And speaking of worse, Zeus does not go down. Ruler's ultimate, his rocket, does not connect. And Hanwha Life Esports are very happy with the ultimate exchange here.
He is like min-maxing the health trades like no one's business in these fights. Has moved up now to a 1.3k gold lead.
Did they, how much health did they take off that turret is the real question. It looks like it's about a half right now, so not putting it on one wave lethal or anything like that. So as the dust settles here, not the massive advantage here for Hanwha Life, but I think they're very happy with how that fight went.
Certainly did. Certainly were, sorry, as Viper, 2 items and a bit. And Zeus getting pretty far ahead when it comes to the levels. Actually a full level in the lead in comparison to his counterpart in Keen. Keen is still going to remain relevant though, does have his 2 items now completed. And so GENG still moving to a late game where this teamfight composition is going to shine. And HLE, I mean, I think the Otacon is so incredibly important in this game.
Yeah, it
Being
really
able to grab that buff, grab the extra experience, really push yourself ever further ahead. It's
really massive, I think, for Hanwha Life Esports as well, to really keep themselves in this game, keep themselves in touching distance of the scaling here for GENG. But this is the moment where Ruler's got his Muramana completed, it's transformed. And this is a really powerful team fighting composition for the side of GENG. So many ways to engage, so many ways to peel for Ruler. He has his own Valkyrie. The item lead here for Viper is still definitely relevant in this fight, but I don't think it's going to be about those extra stats, the extra armor pin from that last Whisper. It's about how the fight breaks out, how those engages work, and because GENG have control over the objective itself, are clearing this vision away, and Keen has TP, I give them a lot of an edge here moving into this one. Sure, Chovy doesn't have TP, but he could just push this wave in. Like, he's practically already on top of this Otacon.
Yep, Zeka can move up towards the top side, does have his teleport up and available, so as far as TPs are concerned, I mean, it's relatively even. Zeus probably going to have his up, and in fact will have his up before Chovy does. But GENG still looking at this second dragon now,
yeah,
second Hextech dragon.
Dragon first, that's the focal point. See if they can force Hanwha Life Esports into an uncomfortable fight. There's that TP from Keen.
He's going to come in, Zeka is still here. And Duro threatening that Magnet Storm. They have to be so careful. There's the ulti, and they do push Duro away, as Peanut's going to be a 50-50 on the smite, but it's locked down there by Canyon, evening out the dragon score as Chovy's going to get exhausted, and then the public execution comes down. He holds the ulti, he goes golden delight, now in an awkward position, and down goes Zeka. He finds the backline, and Viper goes down. Chovy playing it so beautifully, and they obliterate the team fight. HLE were looking so good until it was all done and dusted.
Chovy goes golden. He looks for his angle. He finds the one angle, the best angle that gets him out and takes out the enemy carry. All it takes is a moment he needs to breathe in the arm guard there, and he finds the fight-winning and arguably game-winning play here with the control GENG are going to have after this, as he is once again the target here. Look at how long he waits. He avoids the Braum ultimate, avoids the Sejuani ultimate here. They still are able to slow him, and then the follow-up comes through from Zeus at max range. Chovy goes low, he gets chain CC'd, goes golden, sees the angle on Viper with Canyon here. Viper is just caught out, and he's all the damage here for Hanwha Life Esports, and from there on, the fight is won. What a play from Chovy.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. We're going to have a look at it from Chovy's perspective. And I felt like they had managed to line it up, but you saw in Viper's play, he just didn't quite find a way to just hit targets that were in front of him, right? He was looking for the priority targets, wanted to get the assassinations down, and it just didn't work. Ruler, huge praise there with a nice serve. Actually does have the huge praise at the end. I thought it was actually kind of funny that it didn't necessarily look like he was going over the top, but man, Chovy having a big one there, 4, 2, and 5 now on this Azir. And the gold just kind of plummeting towards GENG, and they get the Otacon, which isn't even represented in that gold craft, but is a big advantage.
It's going to be represented in Chovy's level lead as he hits level 16. That was one of those moments, I know you're playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, when you're in the air and you shoot the bow and it goes slow motion, man.
Yeah, it's
Chovy he saw Viper in slow motion and he was like, I got this angle. I'm still like that play makes me lose my mind. I feel like that one's gonna make Mad Movie. We're only on day one.
I think you might be right
next
there.
week for sure.
Yeah, Canyon set up as well just to make sure that the Relentless Pursuit was on cooldown.
Exactly, it was such a joint effort there, and it was on the other side for Hanwha Life to try to get Chovy, but he has that extra arm guard. Now he's got his Zhonya's, so you're gonna have to once again get through the golden mid laner here.
And man, like talking about Chovy and stuff like that, I look down and Canyon's 100% kill contribution, 0, 1, and 12 on this Jarvan. As Ruler could be a little bit pushed up. The flash forward there from Viper should be able to spell his demise. Dashing out is Viper, but there's the Cataclysm to slam dunk the Lucian. And Keen will show up in the nick of time as well. Peanut's pretty tanky, but I don't think he's tanky enough to deal with this. As Canyon going down low, but Zeka not going to be able to finish him off. Emperor's Divide, but it's avoided there by Zeus beautifully with the ulti, but it's still so defensive. As Zeka looking for that angle onto Keen, but he is still okay, dashing around like a madman as Zeus. But GENG not going to lose anyone other than Ruler in trade for both Peanut and Viper.
I almost felt like for a second GENG forgot in that extended fight that their AD carry was not there. He was dead. But still did a ton of damage. Were able to get 2 kills on the play. And they were able to walk away before things got a little bit too spicy there with this Talia with Leandri's chunking them down. And they're now going to go put their eyes towards this Baron. It almost felt like it was intentional with how Ruler was caught, with how quickly the punish came through. Zeus on the flank does not have his ultimate anymore.
Yeah, gets that control ward down. This is somewhat dangerous as now Zeka's going to make his way in. Seismic Shove avoided beautifully by the Zhonya's out at Chovy. The Baron getting amongst it though. Ruler is coming in, but he's a little bit late to this as Chovy gets himself out, but now he's not there for this fight. There is no DPS here for GENG. and it's looking a little bit like a leash. I say leash, Peanut is still not quite here yet. Public execution doesn't quite get there. Duro gets into the pit. Somehow it's a Braum that locks down the Baron. Down goes Canyon as well as HLE do make their way back into this one in a big way.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a greedy attempt there from the side of GENG, and they do get punished. It's Delight who locks it down.
You can nerf the smite, but not enough.
Not enough. It's in a crazy situation like that with how close it is. As Ruler does get caught here. The shutdown to Delight. That's unfortunate here for Hanwha Life Esports, because I think if that goes over to Viper, you feel super good about this exchange despite losing out on it. But it goes to the support, right? As Chovy is caught in live here and needs to get out, looks like he will be able to ult his way away. Yep. And this is where things get a little bit messy in this fight. And because of this, the Baron is just not takeable here for GENG. They're just too low on health. Chovy has an amazing Zhonya's, but it's just still such a risky situation here with the mobility of Hanwha Life's comp. Zeus is ready to threaten, and Chovy's out of the fight, right? So from here, Canyon has to flash, and it's just all over.
Bit of a risky Baron call, you could say. As
Zeus almost
like if he manages to get Chovy there as well, it could have been even more taken here for HLE.
Still at 50-50, but Hanwha Life play the risky play incredibly well. It was super patient by them.
Yep, soul point now for them at the same time. 2.2k on the Red Bull Baron power play at the same time. So HLE back in with a shot once again. It is still GENG with a slight gold lead, and they have Artican. Remember, that gives them a bit extra. But still, HLE not out of this one just yet. And they've still got a lot of turrets left up on this map. The outer in mid still up and available as Canyon finds the angle onto Zeka here.
Yeah, and with no objective up except the Baron that Hanwha are holding, it's a pretty good trade.
Yeah, Chovy doesn't find Peanut there. Good hands on the old man. Nicely done. Gets himself out with the Arctic Assault as the culling is just tanked by Keen pretty comfortably. A wall comes on through for a reason, I'm sure.
Trying to cut them in half there. Chovy doesn't have flash. If he gets cut off, maybe they can take him out, but ultimately unsuccessful.
Feels like they're trying to keep them interested for Zeus to get that split push going.
I mean, GENG are buying a lot of time here, though, by constantly taking these mock fights, it feels like, against Hanwha Life, trying to burn that Baron timer. Only 45 seconds left, and the outer is still up here for GENG. I think Baron successfully neutered here in terms of the real damage it could have done, and GENG just buys so much space. Still a big win for Hanwha Life Esports, 3,000 on the Baron power play, but GENG can reset and say, the real prize is these next few Drakes for us. Yeah, not necessarily the fact that, this outer in the mid lane gets taken out.
Yeah, and it took HLE so long to get these outer turrets that it does look a little bit like that. But still, I mean, 3.4k, something like that is a big Rebel Baron power play. They'll be happy with it, and it's going to bring them back to parity.
Remember, the gold lead here is still for Chovy, right? It's still for Ruler in this game. Zeus is kind of the main character. He can set Viper up. His picks have been so essential here for Hanwha Life. Duro holds 1,500 gold to lead because he got 1,000 gold from killing Ruler.
Dude, Redemption and Locket both complete. Shields and heals for days.
It's relevant, but I don't know how relevant.
Yeah, not a lot. A Braum with a big lead isn't exactly the most pivotal.
But gold isn't everything.
It's
about the setup. It's about those angles we found. This game, a real game, right? Last game was just a wash.
Dead even. It's crazy.
This is about as good of a League of Legends game as we can ask for between our #1 and #2 LCK teams right now here at the beginning of round 3. We weren't sure what to expect with the jet lag, with the travel, with everything else.
And with game number 1, especially.
Yeah, I don't really believe in all that stuff, but game number 1 made me feel like, okay, I don't expect anything for game 2. And yet, Hanwha, especially with the deficit, right? Like, they bounced back in such a big way in this game, and they're keeping it so competitive. Now I want 3. I just want 3.
Well, we'll need 2 minutes, and that is going to be when both of the big objectives are going to spawn at exactly the same time. A little bit more important for HLE to get themselves a dragon, because, of course, Hextech Soul is busted. And they do have great application at the same time. Getting that slow, and then you've got Braum, that slow becomes a stun way, way more easily than it has for the other parts of this game.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is that if it goes to the other side, Corky Rockets, long range Azir poke, even a Jarvan flag, you're starting to really feel good about your follow-up. But as you mentioned, it's Hanwha Life's soul point, GENG will have to get 2 before that is going to happen, which means that Hanwha Life can try to pressure the side lane and avoid the Drake entirely. But look at the vision control they have already, and the push where Zeus is right now is on the bottom side of the map. I think their sights are not on giving this Azir more time to get a Void Staff in this game, but actually to really close it out, get that Hextech Soul, which is practically checkmate in so many different comps. Duro looking for the angle with Kanya and Delight.
Yeah, he's just going to flash. So not going to have that one available.
Big win.
Yeah, very happy to trade a Cataclysm for that one.
Not even committing
actually,
Cataclysm,
no,
just a flag drag there in the
I really thought that that was what it was, but it was just a flag and drag. That's a teleport. That's an aggressive one. Zekrom is going to put down some rocks as sort of like a welcome mat here for Zeus. Another
big tool here for Hanwha Life gone. 45 seconds before this drag and no TP for the Ambessa, no flank angles, no side lane pressure.
Yeah, kind of an interesting teleport to go for there from Zeus. They really want to find themselves a team fight. As Canyon gets tagged, but isn't too worried. Also has GA available as well, so he's happy to tank for quite some time on this J4.
Yeah, Peanut trying to look for a flank angle, but is spotted and it's going to be tracked.
Chovy finding the angle onto Delight, the one man without his flash available. He got his redemption off though, and there is the public execution. They take down Chovy. The all-out is pretty good though, as it's a double for the Corki. As now Viper dashes forward. He's crazy, but he is able to get himself back out with the relentless pursuit once again. A 2-for-2 trade, but GENG still get the inside track on this dragon.
It's a huge win for Viper in this scenario, but it's not enough. 8,000 damage for Ruler there. The barrier allows Viper to make that crazy play. As it all starts off here with Chovy finding this insane angle, but Zeka is not caught. It's only Delight. The redemption, as you mentioned, goes down here, which actually gets quite a bit of value as Zeus looks for the initial amazing
Kane
pulls Peanut into Narnia with that one, and then look at the damage here from Ruler. Sure, Viper gets the kill, but he loses 3/4 of his health bar for it, cannot compete further. That's the Dragon over to GENG. 6 Drakes taken in this game. The 7th will be the Hextech Soul. And Baron's up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and the only reason GENG are ahead in this game is because they have Otacon. That is it. It is absolutely insane how close this is. Still a slight lead for GENG. I think you could argue that they have decent amounts of scaling with their composition as well, with this Azir and the fact that the Cassante is legit frontline. Of course, Peanut, you know, on this Sejuani is still pretty tanky with the Frost Armor and the Aftershock, but he's a jungler that doesn't quite have the resources that Keen has access to. As Chovy does so much damage to this Baron, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Here comes the setup here for GENG, trying to clear this vision, and the choke, the poke is real.
Oh, that rocket. He's got a collector. This is like the lethality, borderline lethality build for the Corki.
The only thing that Hanwha Life Esports have now is this residual scuttle. Man, it's got like, you know, 2% left of its timer as well. So Hanwha Life Esports really...
That ward is actually out of range of the controller. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it could actually bait GENG into a false sense of security, but they're still positioned well. Ruler though!
This is unfortunate, as that is going to be the catch out onto Keen. He eats so much of the CC, but the seismic shove is going to catch him. Zeus was looking for it, but Keen survives. And Delight tanks so much damage there. I think it was like 2 auto attacks from Sand Soldiers, as they are so scary.
Keen does not have teleport, so he does protect the President as Ruler almost baited in that ward. So sneaky, you mentioned it, but he is not caught. Peanut does not get the pick there, and now he's gonna have to reset in, but in the interim, Hanwha Life Esports have a man advantage. This is crazy over the wall.
Yeah, Ruler is gonna have to use the cleanse and the flash to get out of the seismic shove, but Peanut, he is going to go over and check this. Duro is in the pit. He needs to try and find his way out, but he decides not to. Instead, he's going in, looking for an engage. Keen gets in front of him, but it's the Baron that kills him. And HLE, I don't think they want to go for a Baron off the back of this, because, of course, they are taking a lot of damage themselves. Chovy, I mean, if these Sand Soldiers get any autos, it feels like they just get destroyed. Why was this champion buffed? I'm so mad.
That's actually dumb. Like, the fact that he's able to sit over the wall like that and GENG almost sneak a Baron is crazy. But Duro does not use his ultimate. You know, if Chovy had flash there, maybe he actually sets something up with Magnet Storm. Chovy gets a multi-man shove, and the game is just over, right? And I think that's part of what they were banking on here, is a lackluster check here from the side of Hanwha Life. But by the time Hanwha Life come over here and check, they're really well set up. Viper is nowhere to be seen. Like, he's not actually in engage range, so Duro's just like, all right, I'll give my life for this. Wanted to get out, actually, and nearly did, but ultimately gives his life for it. But like you said, Hanwha Life into this insane Azir damage are not going to hold the Baron. They will back away. GENG's Gambit does not pay off, and we reset and go again. Tons of vision for Hanwha Life on the top side of the map, but GENG have now their eyes on this side lane Azir. They're going to continue to pressure the Baron, but that Hextech Soul is way more valuable than the Baron itself. Unless, of course, you just get a wipe on the Baron. Sure, you win the game there, but if you trade objectives, it's a trade up for the Hextech holder.
It really is. It is gigantic. So a minute and a half is where this game is really going to get interesting.
GENG are putting all their pressure on this bottom side. Chovy gonna back here.
Oh god, look at Ruler, man. 7-2-6 on this Corki. 1,000 gold lead, but he's got 6 items done. The Infinity Edge to come in last. There is not a lot of crit augmenting this, but we know pro players crit more.
Yeah.
You know?
Chovy finishes his Void Staff, has an extra rod in his inventory for the Death Cap, which will be his final completed item when he gets enough money for that. Kind of insane how big this Azir is right now. Being able to clear this final blue trinket. Oh man, this is such a tense game. 45 seconds till that Hextech Soul. Zeka has TP, he's going to take his opportunity to back right now. He's also got an arm guard, which is super valuable for what is likely going to be a game-deciding fight here on this big bottom side objective.
Yep, teleport in, control ward in the inventory for Zeka, who now has his Zhonya's completed. They look for Keen. He's pretty happy to tank things up though, and as you can see, one Frost Bomb is going to take so much damage out. As the culling just going to be eaten there by Keen. Protect the President is continuing.
Viper is the target here. He's taking a little bit of damage, and they are looking for an angle on him. He has to stay so far back. He's got Flash, no cleanse in this Lucian, so going to really have to make sure he buys space as GENG once again trying to collapse on him.
Yeah, looking for that angle. The Glacial Prison is going to be collected there by Keen. He's taking so much damage, eats a bunch of the CC, including the Glacial Fissure, as now he's looking to get himself out. The wall is going to be ridden here by Zeka as Keen finds the all-out onto him. And can he take him down? Yes, he can. Zeus gets in there as the Emperor's Divide comes down. They take out the Rel in exchange, and it is not equal at all.
Not a fair trade. That turn on the Zeka from Keen. This guy is insane. Who's flanking whom? Keen turns and takes him out. 2 for 1 here. Support for the solo laners. Viper survives, but Ruler also gets out here. And that is Hextech Soul over to GENG. And look at the turn towards Baron.
Yep, that it should be the backbreaker as Keen is just so incredibly big, man. He's hit critical mass is what it feels like. 6-2-7 on this Cassante. And Zeus has had a lead for the majority of this game, but that 1.3k just feels like it means nothing at this point as Keen is tanking every button that HLE has, and while the rest of his team take the Baron.
This Azir just makes the Baron disappear. If you're not going to be able to get a pick, GENG just get it for free. Hextech Soul and Baron isn't Exodia, but it practically is in this game. Watch this set of plays from Keen. Look how much he absorbs. The Locket comes out. He's low. Zeka says, I can finish him off. I know exactly where he's going. And he does. The problem is that Keen doesn't care. Chovy has the control of this choke point. Canyon's there as well. They rush Ruler. He gets out. Valkyrie's such a valuable mobility option when Viper can't close the distance. And it's all Keen Atlas.
He's a monster. Why up? Zeka, why we go up? That's my question. And maybe he's asking the same one there, as they perhaps just thought they had a better angle in that fight. Keen finishes him off. And man, GENG poised to take the 2-0 here up against HLE in their first game back. They are literally fresh off a plane yesterday.
And it would be a miracle, I think, at this point if Hanwha bring it back. The gold means nothing. It's all about those tools, and the gold is going to start to balloon further back for GENG as they start to rip these inners off the map. Look at that Hextech Slow at work. Delight ignited as Duro swap summoners as they continue to push here. The siege is so strong with this Azir composition. And every single rocket means that you've got to get out of there or you're going to get caught by Chovy's ultimate. You get slowed, you get ulted, the game ends.
And I don't know whether this will come down to an Elder Flip. I just don't think that GENG will let that one happen as the Baron's still up for another minute and a half. 3.5k, the Rebel Baron power play, but like you say, gold not really meaning too much here. As look at Peanut. He's supposed to be a tank, and he is melting. A fadeaway ulti there is going to save him for the moment, but the turret's not going to be the same situation. As now, look at that, man.
Ruler like 2 shots to the turret somehow.
No, it is insanity how much damage he does. As Canyon looking to get the push here, but Zeus is going to find him. Still think Zeus wins that 1v1, but Canyon looking to try and make his way out as the rest of his team just wanted to end this game. Peanut finds the knock-up onto his former teammate, and the wall comes on through, but I just don't think they really care about walls being set up. And there's another one. This one from Chovy is a lot more devastating. Zeka goes golden himself, and the all-out is just going to murder Kane. That was a little bit of an interesting choice. As now Viper in a decent spot, but it's a triple for Ruler. Make it a quadra. He sees Penta. He sees it in his eyes, and he does so much. There it is! The pentakill for Ruler in their first match of round 3. GENG remain undefeated, 27-0.
27 series in a row, and so many went the distance. So many went to game 3, went to game 5, but not this one against Hanwha Life Esports. GENG shut them out in a game where they had their backs against the wall for so much of it. Chovy's incredible arm guard into pick onto Viper, Keen's turnaround onto the flank, and GENG, they qualify for playoffs, they qualify for Worlds in game 1, their 19th LCK series, 19-0, and they will see you in China.
Yeah, they will. So GENG not really needing to do too much more here. It's all about seeding in those playoffs, and that is going to be very, very important. So very weird that we are crowning them, you know, our first representative at Worlds already, but that is just how it goes. And of course, you're basically auto-seeded by picking up the victory in MSI, because it's not likely that you're going to fall off that much that you don't make it to any sort of Worlds qualification afterwards. But still, kind of insane that they've already qualified based on the fact that we keep the standings from the first 2 rounds.
I heard an unconfirmed report. Again, this is just speculation, but it comes from a good source that GENG, in fact, arrived this morning.
Oh.
They were not there yesterday. They were later than us. They
Wait,
came
that's how they beat any sort of jet lag that might happen. It's by just never going to sleep.
Yeah, if you say so. For me, that doesn't work.
No, for me, that doesn't work either. However, yeah, no. I have no however. There is no however.
Yeah, it does kind of support my theory that these players just do not care about jet lag, and they will play to their best no matter what.
I don't know. I heard some players talking about it affecting them pretty recently, but it wasn't these ones, and it seems to not affect GENG whatsoever.
I look at these fights, the scenarios in which Hanwha Life had to fight back, because in the early game things were a little bit laissez-faire, and there were some trades that I wasn't feeling very good about for Hanwha Life, but they were able to battle back and punish some of the greed from GENG, right? This play here where Chovy is unable to get value out of the Emperor's Divide the way he's looking for it, and Zeus becoming such a huge threat on this Ambessa, getting in the back line here. Amazing stuff on the side of Hanwha Life, and it looked like after this fight, okay, we might have a series on our hands. It felt like it was starting to materialize. And yet,
I mean, I think this game was still absolutely amazing.
This moment.
Yeah, this was the one where Chovy manages to just snipe Viper.
With all of the attempted heal, with all of the protection, it's just not enough.
Yep. And this was with Zeus getting into the backline again, and his ults were actually pretty good this game, and they were working out before that moment.
Keen.
And it was so rough, but this, Zeka just overstepping.
Because he doesn't have anyone with him to follow up. That's just such a tanky Cassante. Viper's trying to push Ruler on the top side of the fight, and so Zeus also kind of just runs in and dies. And then Ruler for the Penta angle at the final moments. So Zeus is trying to catch a G8 Jarvan and is unsuccessful. And then GENG at this moment, they're like, I think we just play with our food. I see checkmate. We have Hextech Soul. We just do not care. And Ruler calls for the Penta.
Yeah, it was in fact, yeah, it was Chovy's mom that apparently said that they arrived this morning. That's really cute. It's all right, GENG, it was clean. It was just clean. And I thought that maybe like a change in patch, things like this, might have changed things up, but I guess not a whole lot changed and not enough changed to make this one happen, as their Ruler is so incredibly excited. This guy gets denied so many pentas here in the LCK, and finally his team allows him to take it. And when you do almost 50k damage, you can understand that.
It's just a crazy composition here for GENG, so much comfort. I think Keen is Palm, though. I'm going to have to say it, Atlas. It was
I mean, I would have voted for Kane, 100%.
It was pretty insane, his performance across both games to me, but there's an argument for Canyon.
Yep.
There's an argument for Ruler. There's an argument for Chovy. There's a small argument for Duro. But I'm
Actually, a
curious who gets
decently
it.
large argument for Duro.
Yeah, I'm curious who gets it in the end.
Yeah, I think like there might be a fair bit of just ruler voting.
There may be a tiebreaker or something. I don't know because we don't have it yet. It might be that close.
Ooh, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm just speculating, but
Yeah. I'd like to see it. But that is a 2-0 as well. It was almost a 6-gamer, but we did not quite get there. But let's have a look at who it is. It's Keen that picks it up. There is justice in this world, Wolf.
yeah, it was not a tough choice for me, even though I think everyone on GENG had a huge part to play in this game. Like, this is with Chovy's arm guard play, right? That I'm still like, yeah, of course it was Keen.
Yeah.
He warped the entire first game because he crushed the Gwen matchup so hard that then the Jhin had to go up and it was just a whole disaster.
Yeah, I mean, that was more about the draft, but this, like, it was a difficult matchup for him to weather in the early game, but he was just the Keen Sante, and he won the game-winning fight and was so extraordinarily strong when that was a game set up for Keen to take over. He has taken over games like that before. Not against Keen. Not against the
Yeah,
Keen
Zeus is so
Sante
big
master.
in that game, and he had so many good ultimates, still just couldn't make the same impact.
Yep, not quite getting there. And now we get to have a conversation with Keen after he's just got back from his trip as well. So interested to see how he's going to feel. As you can see, we're preparing for it now. I hope that Keen's just going to be a little bit more relaxed, you know, because of course, probably a little tired.
Yeah, I think everybody's probably a little bit tired, but it did not show in the gameplay here for GENG at all. I think everyone's going to go get some well-deserved rest after this series.
I would agree. So now it is time to throw it over to Keen, see what he has to say.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Keen on the side of GENG. Congratulations! Thank you. With today's victory, you secured top 4 of the final standings, along with a spot in the playoffs and Worlds. Did you expect to secure everything so soon? And how are you feeling? At the beginning of the season, I did not dream of getting this far with such a long consecutive victory. And I think being able to secure Worlds and playoffs, it actually makes me feel a lot more comfortable now. And does anyone remember the last time GENG lost? With today's victory, you're on a 27 series winning streak, including EWC. So does it feel like your team is just constantly growing stronger? You know, I feel like we had so many experiences going to best of 5s. And I think now we're at a point where we know that by the end of the series, we know that we can win. So I think at this point, I believe that everyone's just enjoying the game. And in Game 2, with enemy and Bessa's power, team fighting was crucial. So in every teamfight angle, your teammates carried out their roles perfectly. What is GENG's secret to such traits? I feel like we have cleaned up our shot calling and communication through all the team fights that we have learned how to do and pull off such good traits eventually. So I think that's what really brought us to this point, and we're able to carry that out. And it's such a shame that we have to pick only one highlight, but let's take a look at the craziest team fight moments. You know, at first it was a little awkward and iffy, but in the end, I think we fought pretty well. So what was your read on this angle? You know, individually we were quite split, so we really had to fight well and it had to be perfect, but Chovy was able to toss the enemy Lucian, and I think in the end we were able to clean out pretty well. And yeah, even Ruler was so impressed in this moment. He said, "Why are you guys so good at fighting?" Yeah, I think in the team fight, Azir did really well, so honestly, kudos to Chovy. And from the first match of your round 3, you have already secured playoffs. And with this momentum, how many consecutive wins are you going for? You know, continuing our consecutive wins is a great thing, but personally, I actually haven't been paying too much of attention to it. And I think I'll just have to keep trying and make sure that we just keep winning. Maybe my goal would be to just keep winning, but I think just to actually just win it all until the very end. And this coming Friday, you'll be at the Inspire Arena for a LCK team roadshow against T1. So what mindset will you prepare with? You know, we won in our own homestand match, and I hope that we're able to win on another big stage, and it's going to make me really happy. And that's the end of the interview with Kiin, and back to the space. Thank you.